Are you all able to see my screen?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, good morning to all of you. Uh, Happy Independence Day. Yeah. So, it's a nice day to start with a
Yes.
new course,
Yes,
C++.
sir. Yes.
And I believe all of you have
Good
gone through
morning.
the course content. It's pretty exhaustive. As a first
Thank you.
step towards learning any
Happy
programming
Independence.
language, we better know what is the background of this language when it started. And
Yeah.
so, what I've done is I have brought out the timeline of how C++ started. So, the creator of C++ is Bjarne Stroustrup. He was a Denmark-born computer scientist. He joined Bell Laboratories in the 1970s. He was continuously working on improvising C. He came across a language called Simula, which had object-oriented features. So he started to bring in Simula features in C, and that is where the work started in 1979. And it took almost 4 years to come up with a new programming language, and the programming language was initially called as C with classes. Okay, but later it was renamed as C++. What they did is C had very powerful features. However, it was lacking object-oriented concepts. As you know, object-oriented features are required to build very complex software systems and also contain the complexity of such software systems. And all the features which were very much useful in Simula, they were all incorporated in C++. So the first official version of C++, C++ 1.0, was announced in the year 1985. And later improvements were made and higher versions of C++ started flowing in. But major changes were more made over a period of 4 to 5 years, as you can see the timeline. So C++ 2.0 only came in 1989, and in 1998 they further made changes. They brought in the concept of templates, and the standard template library, which is very popular even today, so was added in 1998. The exception handling mechanism was also introduced. So we shall see all these details subsequently. Again, there were few bugs in the earlier releases. In 2003, everything was cleaned up. Any minor bugs were all eliminated, and further improvements were made to the libraries. So I just started off with the introductory part of C++. So C++ all began in 1979, and changes were happening all through the years. And in 2003, major improvements were made, and again in 2011, lambda functions were introduced. So, what are these lambda functions? How useful they are in software development? We shall see in our course. And the latest release of C++ was in 2023. Okay, and the new release is going to come in 2026. So this is a work in progress. So that's a brief history of what C++ has gone through. And before we know why we should learn C++, it is important to look at some of the features of C++, which makes it an attractive choice when you want to build some complex software. So first important feature of C++ is multi-paradigm. What do you mean by this? So as you all know, C is a functional programming language. We could only write functions. All right. However, object-oriented features were introduced. It's always beneficial to think of a piece of software as a real world object. For example, we have an employee. You can model an employee as a software object and add all the features of the employee and also add all the functionalities that are required to manage the employee. Object oriented programming is a very powerful paradigm. And if you say today's all programming languages, be it C++, Java, or even Python, is object oriented. Then the third important paradigm introduced in C++ was generic approach, where you need not write separate functions to deal with different data types. For example, we saw sorting of integers. So do I have to write another program to sort strings? No, if you adopt generic programming, you don't have to write sorting for each data type separately. You just write sorting for generic data type and you can pass data of any type. automatically it will recognize the data type and accordingly the program will run for any data type. So that's a very powerful feature which C++ has. So the first point is very, very compelling for you to look at what C++ offers and make use of that in all your software development process. Of course, as I mentioned in the first step, object-oriented features were added in C++. There are four pillars of OOPS: inheritance, abstraction, encapsulation, and polymorphism. So these are the four pillars of OOPS any programming language should have, and they were introduced long ago, and they are still in use in other languages as well. Then most importantly, memory management. We saw in C programming, if I allocate any memory dynamically, I have to free myself. So that's quite a burden on the programmer. So in C++, they have kept the manual management of memory allocation. However, they have automatic feature also. So if a pointer is pointing to a dynamically allocated space, and if the pointer goes out of scope, that is in a function you have written you have used a pointer to allocate memory dynamically. When you exit that function, the pointer goes out of scope and automatically the memory allocated will also be reclaimed. Then very importantly, when you want to build any huge software, you require a lot of libraries. So rich set of libraries were added, and most importantly, C++ is known for its STL, standard template libraries. It means all these libraries are generic in nature. You pass any data type, they would work fine. So that was the important feature which C++ has, and that is why C++ is widely used for its flexibility and also performance. The feature which makes C++ different from C is function overloading and also operator overloading. We shall see those details. As you can see in C, if I use a function name, I cannot write a function with the same name again. Okay. But however, in C++, same function name can be used. However, they have to differ either in the number of arguments or the type of arguments. So we shall see few examples where it is advantageous to reuse the function name. All right. Then to make your programs robust, exceptional handling was missing in C that was introduced. We never know when things can go wrong. For example, simple program like dividing a number by another, let's say C equal to A by B. And if you're reading B from the keyboard, the user may enter B equal to 0. So then what happens? So it is an illegal operation, right? A by 0 is not defined, right? In that case, there should be a mechanism not to crash the program, but to exit the program in a very gentle way. That is done through a try catch block. So we shall see what are these mechanisms which will help you to gracefully exit from the program if whenever something goes wrong. Same thing happens when you're making a connection to a server, and if the network breaks down or the server is down, you should not crash your program. The program should gracefully exit, indicating what went wrong, and again you can try connecting at a later time. All right, so all these features were the requirements of the software developers, and they have been incorporated in C++. Support for templates and template classes. Now, as I mentioned you, C++ support generic programming. So that is done through concept of a template. We shall see what templates are. You can write either template functions or template classes. So both support is available. For the last but very important point is portability, right? If you wrote C programming on Unix and wanted to run it on Windows, there were a lot of changes to be made. But C++ standardized everything, and now if you have written program on one platform, whether operating system platform or any hardware platform, it would run on other platform with very minimal changes or no changes at all. So these were the very important features of C++. That is what made C++ a very powerful programming language even today. When we started off C programming, we saw how does a C program look like. Similarly, we need to look at how a C program look like. It is no different from a C program. As you can see here, C also has preprocessor directives. The only difference is you will not have .h format. So if whenever you include a header file, simply use the header file name with no .h, like iostream.h. So this is similar to your stdio.h. And input output is done in a very simplistic way. You don't have to use printf with %d, etc., or even scanf %d ampersand. All that is not required. So there is a new library called iostream, which will help you do input output in a very simplistic way. And then the math.h, which was there, is renamed as cmath. Okay, similarly, all your standard libraries were all prefixed with C. So if I want to use standard library stdlib, you have to prefix that with C, simply like this. Okay, so why this is done is to keep compatibility with C, and also add some more features in the C math library. And then we could define macros the way we did in C, like hash define some constants, or hash define max of two numbers which will return maximum of the two, and all that it can be done. There is a new concept in C++, and that is called as namespace. Now, why namespaces are used? See, in a library, you might have written a function display. Okay. And in your program, if I name my function also as display, so there will be a conflict of names. Do you agree? Let us say iostream as a function called as display. It is not accepting any arguments, and you also write a function called display. So there is a conflict of names, right? So reusability of names is not possible if you don't have namespace concept. So what this namespace does, it will allow you to define a namespace. So all libraries are stored in a namespace called as std. Within this, all your library functions are there, like display and all. So if you use a namespace, then the names which are there in the libraries, you can also use in your programs. All right. So all that is possible. Then the next part in the C++ header portion is your function prototype. So you again have to display the function prototypes before the main. So the main was similar to what main we had in C, and then just that instead of printf we have cout and cin. Cout is for printing and cin is for reading the data. So when you are using cout, you must redirect it like this. So anything that you want to print on the screen, it should be sent to cout. That is the output screen. Similarly, if you want to read some data into some variable, the direction should be opposite. So a is an integer. If you want to read, you can do like that. And user defined functions follow the main, and they have to be invoked the way we did in C program as well. Okay. So structure of C++ is very similar to C, except that the header files are named different. So we shall start with the demonstration of some of the C++ programs, and I'll be using Visual Studio Code. You can use either Visual Studio Code or even online GDB, whichever is fine with you. And if you want to see the working of this program, let us see how a C++ program can be done. So first thing is, for input output, I must include this iostream.h, and since if you want to use the namespace std, you have to use the statement like using namespace std. If you don't use this, then you have to prefix all your library function with a scope resolution operator like that. So this is quite a nuisance. If you want to avoid use of std : then you can do that just by keeping the namespace definition here, and they can use cout just directly like that. And if I run this program, you will get your hello world on the, so as you can see, the output has come down here. And if you want to clear the screen, system cls is what you can use. So there is a lot of text that is displayed apart from what is coming out. If you want to avoid all that, you have to include system.cls. As you can see, everything is cleared off and you get the hello world. Okay, so here you can define your constants the way we did it by 3.142. And if I want to have my own function display, I can write that. This is a function prototype, and the actual function I can write here. Then just to display something, you can write the string. And if you want to new line, either you can put a new line here or use a directive like endl. So endl will take the cursor to the next line. And if you want to call this function here, simply invoke that function. So I think so everything else is done. And now if you run the program, you will see that welcome to C++ programming is also displayed. All right. Now there is a support for all your data types that we have in C, like int, float, char, float, double. Now there is support for boolean also. This is a new data type which is added. And strings we used to declare using array of characters in C, whereas that is not required. You can directly use string and then start using. However, for string you must include the library C string in your header. So here you must say hash include C string header, and there you can declare any string like that. String my name equal to Ajay. So no need to declare my name as an array of characters, something like that. Just simply use the variable and equate it to this. So if you want to pass that name, you can do this, and you can modify this function to be string name like that. That my name will be substituted in name, and if you want to print that, you can do it by sending displaying name. So you can have more than one variables in the cout. So there is a spelling mistake here. My name it should be. Okay, now as you can see, I have declared my name string variable and I am passing to display, and that is displaying the same in your program. So if I do,
prototype should be
prototype is changed to be changed. It should be string. Yeah, good observation. Okay, so as you can see, welcome C++ Ajay. So that is coming here. Okay, so C++ is no different from C when it comes to functional programming. However, you have to learn many of the object-oriented concepts. Okay, that is where C++ immensely differs from C, and also the new features which have been added like template library, then your exception handling. Okay, your overloaded functions and all that. Okay, so we shall see all of those one by one. So today we shall only see how an overloaded function can be written. So now I have written a function display with a string as an argument. So can I write display without an argument? So this is very much permitted in C++. So this is a overloaded function. Okay. Now there are two display functions, one with argument, one without argument. The prototype must also be defined separately, and you can call the second function here. So the compiler knows which function to call when you have display here. So if with argument, it will identify the function starting at line 17 and ends at 19. It will execute this. If there is no argument, it knows exactly where display is without argument, and it will call accordingly. Okay, so if I switch off this one, and now it knows that second display function has to be called, and you see the output as overloaded function. Okay, so this is what is function overloading. Okay, so an overloaded function differs from other function in terms of either number of arguments or type of arguments.
prototype.
Now there are no arguments here in the second display function, but there is one. So that is how it differs. Okay, but can I have one more uh, overloaded function wherein the number of arguments are different? Let us say this function has a string name as the first one, but Here there are two arguments. So even this is a overloaded function. Okay, if I want to call the second one, then I have to modify this second one like this. So display has to have string as a first argument, second as the int argument. And when you call that, you have to pass some value here, and you can pass his age 19. Okay, so here you can, sorry, while printing in the display overloaded function, we can say welcome Mr. whatever. We can display the name and then say your age is A. Now, as you can observe how easy it is to do the printing of integer strings. There is no percentage %d or percentage yes, nothing. Just simply redirect all these data to cout, and cout will do it perfectly. Okay. So now we have a overloaded function. As you can see, the first argument is same in both, but it is differing in the number of arguments. Okay, it will distinguish the two depending on what if I pass only one argument, it's going to call the first display as before. It will say
Uh,
welcome.
Sir, actually, I just wanted to know like this CPP will support CAD as well or only
Yeah,
string?
care also it supports. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And while accessing the CAD, the percentages, meaning we were accessing using percentages for displaying over there.
No
Uh,
such thing is there. You
right,
display
right.
care and send it to cout, it knows how to display that.
Okay.
Okay. When it comes to float, you have to use some library to format it. So formatting is not built into cout. Like you cannot say percentage %d. We used to do no
Yes.
percentage f 9.2
Percentage
percentage
dot
f.
tape 2D.
The formatting string you cannot specify in C++. Okay.
Okay.
So there is a library which we shall see how to use that to format the real data like 19.25 you want to display. So
Okay.
then there is a library function using which you can do the formatting. Okay. The way you declare and use pretty much the same. As you can now see, the second overloaded function, that is a function with two arguments, is called, and you see welcome Mr. Kiran, your age is 19 getting displayed. If you remove this 19, it will only display the name of the, it is only displaying Kiran here. All right. So this is one very powerful feature, and why this feature is provided, we shall see subsequently. All right, and you can always make all the necessary changes required to build a new overloaded function. Overloaded operators are also provided. Like you can add two numbers, no, a plus b if they're integers. What if a and b are strings? You can overload plus operator and implement adding of two strings. The meaning will be different. It will be concatenating the two strings there. So how can I do all that? We shall see as part of this. Okay. For now, what is important for you to remember is it supports all the data types which were there in C, and most importantly, the improvements are declaration of string using a string object or string class that is provided in just C string library. So you don't have to write string C string dot h or something. Just include the library as C string, and it is available for you. All right. And other things remain the same. The if statement, for loop, all that. The advantage of C++ is you can declare the index
Uh,
variable right
Sir,
inside the for loop
actually, I
only.
just
Like
wanted to know like
you can do like
this
this for
CPP
I
will
equal to 0,
support
where I is
CAD
declared
as
as
well
int
or
within the
only
for loop, which was
string,
not
meaning
there in your C programming.
okay.
So this is
Okay,
a
and
useful
while
feature
accessing
because
the CAD,
you
the
don't have to go out of the
percentages,
loop to
meaning
declare I,
we were
and you
accessing
can
using
do that
percentages for
within the loop. So
displaying
this is
over
going
there.
to display hello couple of
Right,
times.
right.
So if I run the program, this is a simple for loop which is displaying all this.
Okay,
Since I removed system CLS, it is bringing up with all the previous things. So you can clean up the screen by including system CLS. Okay. Now,
yes.
while loop is also
Percentage dot
same,
tape 2D.
and switch statement is exactly the same. We have seen switch
Okay.
statement, right?
Okay.
Switch some variable a then case 1, whatever. Just quickly I'll go through few of
Okay.
these things so that you know what was there in C is also very
Okay.
much is there in. Okay, of course you must put the break for the first statement, otherwise it will go to the second, and then default
Default.
case is also there. Then you can say invalid. Okay, so just that we have to declare variable a here. I can say int a equal to 2. So now it will go to the second case and it will display that.
Meaning,
Endl I'm not putting.
yeah.
You can do that. And if it is other than 1 and 2, it should go to the default. So that is what is switch statement, for loop, if statement. They're all same. Okay. So you can just play around with these things, right? So would you like to try writing a C++ program like this?
Yes.
Yeah, just give a try. Write those small functions and try for yourself, either using online GDB or if you have configured Visual Studio, you can do that also.
Sir, I have one doubt.
Okay.
Line number 3 using namespace, right?
Using namespace, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, see, there is a concept of uh, namespace. It means the namespace is given a name std. That is a standard namespace. Within that, all the library functions are used. Like IOStream, when you write cout and cin, they are there in the std namespace. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
since you are using std namespace, you are able to use cout cin without the scope resolution operator. So when you use colon colon, it is called as scope resolution, in which namespace it is there. If you want to explicitly specify, you can use this syntax and you can do away with this namespace. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
instead of writing std colon colon everywhere, you have done cout. No, this is quite a nuisance. As you can see, there are three couts here. So would you like to type std colon colon everywhere? So instead of that, you can just say using namespace and you can just directly use cout. It knows that cout is there in standard namespace and it will find out that function and call that function. So just give a try. You can use online GDB, that is easier. I have not used an online GDB because it will come up with lot of advertisement like this, so I have to close them. When I try to close, something else will come up. Okay. Only thing is, in the language you can choose C++. As you can see, the latest C++ is C++23, and there is C++ Turbo C also. You just choose C++23, the latest one. As you can see, is not using the namespace, so it is saying std colon colon cout. So if I run this program, I should get hello world. And you can just try out few things in take code 5 or whatever. If a greater than b, cout a is largest, else cout b is largest. It will give error because it is not recognizing this cout because we have not used the namespace. So you must say using namespace std, so that you can do away with this operator here. So if you want to format this, there is one library called as hash include IO manipulation,
Default.
and here, so if you want to display a real number, float
I am default.
price equal to 3 point whatever, yeah, like that, and then you can include IO manip, and if you want to print that cout price of item,
Tendel is not there.
here
Tendel,
you can use
end line.
fixed,
Meaning,
then set
yeah,
precision, then you have to use the length, and then say price
default.
handle.
Yeah,
So this is something which you need to learn. As you can see, 3.4522 is now truncated to 3.45. Now fixed is we are going to write it in floating point
Yes.
format, and if you want scientific format, that is exponential format, you can use scientific here. So there are two options. If you use scientific format, then it will be
Sir, I
printed
have
as
one doubt. Line
3.45
number 3 using namespace, right?
e to the power
Uh,
0
uh,
or something like that. So as
namespace
you can see, it
STD.
is coming in the
So I
scientific
wasn't clear
format
why that was used.
3.45 e plus 000.
Using
Okay.
namespace.
On the other hand, if it were 35,
Yeah.
34.5 something, it would have come as 3.45 to 10 to the power 1. So the formatting has to be done using the IO manipulation library. So you can do that formatting using this additional library which is provided in C++.
Sir, what in case if I want to take a input from an system?
Okay, I have to
I
use
need to
cin.
enter.
I have to
Hmm.
use cin. For example, here I want to read something from the keyboard. I have to say cin A, just like that. And before that, you can give a prompt, enter value of A.
Okay.
It is this simple. See how much you would have struggled in C.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you have to give scanf.
Scanf,
Yeah.
percentage
Yes.
D, then
Data type you
ampersand
have to
A, all
specify.
that is not required.
Okay.
So syntax is immensely simplified. So the idea was uh, free the application developers from the minutest details of the programming language and make them focus more on the application development. So you don't have to worry about percentage D,
Okay.
percentage F, ampersand, all that. So just use the variables normally and things are done in the background. So as you can see, this overloaded function works just fine. You can just write as many overloaded functions as you want. You can write display without any argument. So that is also one overloaded function. And you can just say how I am a vanilla kind of function. Now, if you want to read, one problem with cin is that it cannot read an entire sentence. It will read only the first word of the sentence. And to remove that limitation, we have a library function called as getLine. So as you can see, I have declared a string sentence and I'm asking the user to enter that sentence. And if you want to read that entire sentence, I have say getLine cin sentence. Now, if I run the program, you will see that if I enter a sentence like hello world, welcome to C++, you will see the entire sentence is read. On the contrary, if you directly use cin and put that into sentence, it will not read the entire sentence. It will only read the first sentence, as you can see now. If I say hello world, welcome to C++, it will read only hello. It will not read the rest of it. Okay, so we have overcome this limitation using getLine by writing getLine function, then the input cin, and then the variable name. All right, so it works fine. Okay, to summarize, we started off with a gentle introduction to C++, how it evolved, and Bijarne Strausstrup, who was a computer scientist at Bell Laboratories, developed this C++ program, and the first version of the same came in 1983, and it has undergone a lot of changes since then, incorporating more powerful features, and today we have C++ 23 version. Okay, and we looked at the structure of a C++ program, which is pretty much same as a C program, except that the header functions, the header files have to be included without a .h. And for input output, instead of stdio.h, we have iostream. And for strings, if you want to use, there is a C string library. And for formatting the real data, like price of an item, you have to use a library called as IO manipulator, IO manip, and then you can use that in your program. As you can see, the float value price, which has 3 decimal digits, you can use in the cout fixed set precision 2. It will display 34.52. Okay, so the structure of the C program has header portion where you have all the macros defined, and also the function prototypes, which you might have used some functions. The function prototypes have to be listed. As you can see, I have two functions here, display and display. These are two overloaded functions. In fact, there is one more, display, which doesn't accept any argument which I've written down there. You just have to say display like this. So there are three functions with the same name, but they differ in their number and type of arguments, as you can see here. And the for loop is pretty much the same, except that it allows you to declare the loop variable within the loop. That is a greatest advantage. Then switch statement is the same. Then we have for loop, which is same. While loop can also be implemented. And as you can see, the overloaded function down here, and you can invoke them from the main function. All right. So we have discussed the structure of C++ program, and in our next lecture we shall see the further discussion on C++. Until then, goodbye. Thank you.
So can you scroll down a bit?
Sir, what in case if I want to take a input from an system? I need to enter. uh, Okay. Yeah, you have to give scanf. Yeah, percentage. Data type you have to specify. Mm, okay.